Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining me on another edition of CBT Now. We're taking a look at used car and EV markets and what the data is telling us. We are joined now by Ivan Drury, who is the Director of Insights at Edmunds. Thank you so much, Ivan, for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Sure. So Edmunds data shows that the average transaction price for three-year-old vehicles is just over $31,000, a 5% jump year over year. What's driving the increase?
Yeah, I mean, you've got a couple things going on here, but the number one, it's that lag between new and used. And what is one of the biggest drivers in used? Off lease. What happened 3 years ago?
Yeah,
Lower volumes overall,
that's
right?
right.
Pandemic, shortage, chips, everything.
Sure.
But in addition to that, leasing was at such a low rate that now it's come to finally get us,
Yeah.
right? That time between that new sale versus that used sale, it is here and now, in which we're seeing prices back up. That over 30K number, the last time we saw it
Sure.
was basically 3 years ago.
Yeah, wow, wow. At the same time, used vehicles are lingering longer, 41 days in Q3. What does that tell you about shopper behavior right now?
Yeah, it's one of those things where shoppers now have choice.
Yeah,
Before we saw used ATPs that were very high, even new ATPs that are just going through the roof, but we have inventory on the new side. There's incentives on the new side.
yeah,
That shopper that's on the fence between new and used, especially when you're looking at 2 and 3 year old cars, they've got options. 3 years ago, they had no options. They're
yeah,
like, guess what? I guess I'm going to pay the same price as when it was new, and I'm going to buy it off the lot immediately. So I'm
sure,
fighting everybody else for it. But
sure.
right now, people say, look, I can wait. There's other things I can actually shop against a new car and get the color I want, the options I want, things like that. So I think with the new age of inventory, where we're kind of sustaining around this like around 3 million ish, nothing like pre-pandemic 4 million.
Right.
We still have shoppers that have options.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about EVs. New EV transaction prices climbed to a record high of 65,000 in October. Talk to us about that. Obviously, we saw the tax incentives go away in September, the end of September. I'm sure that had something to do with it, but talk to us about that.
Yeah, a huge component to this is that deal-seeking mentality to take advantage of the tax credit.
Yeah,
Once that's off the table, now you just have shoppers who are like, hey, I naturally want an EV. I don't want just like the cheapest vehicle in the market, the lowest lease for like 150 a month, 200 a month. Now we have shoppers that are saying, okay, I'm committed to this technology. We're seeing more like dealer finance, more outside finance, fewer leases. So while for some it is going to be harder to sell those EVs because you don't have those super cheap leases, in the end for the industry, it's actually a net positive, right? We kind of
sure.
like remove a lot of the pricing games that some people have in their mind as a consumer and not understanding how any of that works. And now it's purely selling on price and merit, not an incentives, combination that they don't really understand.
Yeah, yeah. Having said that, what should dealers be preparing for in the used EV segment in 2026? And more demand, more inventory. I mean, what does that look like?
Yeah, so in 2023 is actually when we started to see a bit of a slowdown on new EV sales
Hmm.
and more utilization of the, workaround for the IRA credit to get leasing. So in reality, in 2026 should be a fantastic year for off-lease inventory for EVs.
Hmm.
You should actually see kind of like a great offering both in quantity, but in the vehicle types. Now you'll finally get some of your brand out there.
Yeah,
Before this, it was kind of like just Teslas, maybe a few Mach-E's, things like that. But
yeah,
now you're going to get a lot more volume that's a lot more diversified,
sure.
and they sell faster than any other powertrain type. And I think that that's the kicker is that while they might linger on your lot when they're brand new, people know their deal on the used end. They get scooped up faster than anything else.
Yeah, wow, wow. Are there any wild card factors that you're watching that could shift the used car or EV markets heading into the new year?
I think it's like everyone else. It's like, how does our greater economy hold up? So far, complete resilience, right? I think
Yeah,
our forecast was 16.2. Even if the last 2 months of this year come in exactly the same, no positive, no negative year over year comparisons, we're going to have a 16.4. It's actually a very strong year.
yeah,
Next year, we haven't come out their official forecast yet, but at this kind of run rate and seeing how old some of these trade-ins are, knowing there's so much pent-up demand on the new side, the average age of trading being like 6 years old and
yeah.
climbing a little bit every month, I think we're going to have another strong year.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, there's no question. And that's in light of the fact that we heard in the beginning of the year all the talk about tariffs. We're still dealing with tariffs today, although it doesn't seem to have slowed things down all that much, right?
Yeah, automakers have done an incredible job of mitigating the cost to the consumer,
Yeah,
right? And yeah, at the dealership, yeah, you might be seeing things here and there, certain trim levels, destination charge changes, but I think so much of that saying, hey, 25% tariff, and how does that trickle down on a $50,000 product? It hasn't.
yeah,
Automakers have eaten a lot of tariff. Yeah, they might have put the money towards incentives and they're not doing that, but we have so many consumers out there that just need transportation because they're hitting those like mileage moments in time where they're saying, you know what, I can't keep going, or I don't want to have that repair bill of like 5 or 7K. And, guys getting flipped in that service lane from a service to now a purchase. That'll happen more and more as we see these older vehicles come in and having no tariffs on the vehicles or little to none. Or
right,
maybe it's like, hey, we're going from 25 to 26 model year and there's not like thousands of dollars increase.
right.
It's helping the consumer.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. It's you're right. It's a resilience of the dealers that are out there, and the market just keeps coming on strong. I mean, if we're looking at 16.4 as a SAR, you're right. That's a very good year for sure.
Yeah, all the headwinds, it's like, put that aside. I mean,
That's
we're
right.
selling cars and
That's right.
they're not selling cheap either, right?
No, no, that's for sure. Ivan Drury, Director of Insights at Edmunds. Thank you very much for your insights today. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thanks, Mr. Fitzpatrick. Until next time.
You got it. Thanks so much.
Cheers.